When I started this YouTube channel, the main focus was just trying to shine a light on TM2, show off some really fun and unique things I've experienced in this game, and maybe get some more people to come play it. And over that time, I can confidently say that that has been the case. I'm pretty sure I have more active viewers of this channel than there are active players in TM2. However, there have been a lot of changes to the server itself since I started this channel. Some of them as a result of this channel, and others are just coincidence, I think. Now obviously, with all the attention I brought to the game, there have been a lot more people joining. I mean, for a while, it seemed like almost every day I would see somebody new who was saying that they just started because of the channel. And one of those is a name some of you might recognize, as Schmanuel took an interest to the server and played for a few weeks, and in that time, he decided to steal world records left and right. You never realize just how high the skill ceiling is for this game until you see pro players come in and make everything look so trivial. So yeah, Schmanuel only played for maybe like a month, yet he took the local record on like 200 maps. It seemed like almost every map that would come up, he would just take world record in 5 minutes. But then Deep Dip 2 started, and we haven't seen him since. I think he's in 5th place right now, almost finishing the map. But apart from Schmanuel, of course, there have been a lot of other players who've joined the LOLMAPS server. Now, I think it's safe to say that my channel is mostly known for the story of how I 100%ed the server. Now, back then, there were about 8,400 maps. I think today there's around 87 or 8,800. So we've gained about 400 maps since I made that video. And things have gotten a little bit crazy. So at the end of that video, I mentioned that now that I have every map finished, I can still open the no rank list and just complete any new maps that come up. You know, there was always about 10 or 20 new maps per week getting added to the server, and so I would just open the no rank every night, see what was new, finish them, and call it good. And I kept up with holding 100% for at least a few months. However, I think a lot of people got the idea that I really enjoy khaki maps because I finished all the ones on this server, and so it seemed like there are a lot of people showing up to give me a new challenge, let's say. A lot of mappers saying, oh, you can finish anything, huh? Well, let's see if you can finish this. And for a little while, I still kept up with it. I finished a few pretty rough khakis, but then there was a point where I just could not go on any longer, and it's all thanks to Jolix. Now, I've never seen Jolix before, but it seems like he's a pretty high level, and he decided to add this map called Super Duper Hard Map. Now, let me just show you what makes this map super duper hard. So as soon as you start, you take a turn and go through a checkpoint. There's some reverse boosters, so you gotta kind of hug the wall to get past them. Then you make a turn, and there's another set of boosters, and you gotta hug the wall for that too. And then you've gotta drive in between all these pipes and then make one long jump. And if you haven't figured it out yet, yes, you have to full speed through all of this without touching anything in order to make that final jump. That means full speed on the green border, don't touch the wall, don't touch the reverse booster, and then make the turn, full speed through that border, and then fly past all of these pipes, don't hit the edge, and make the long jump. And to those who have played this game, you probably know how difficult it is to perfectly drive full speed in between a booster and a wall. And so after hunting this map for about 2 hours, I was just like, yeah, this isn't worth it anymore, I give up. This is the map that made me give up on holding 100%. And since then, it's only gotten worse as there have been more and more really hard maps being added to the server. Maps that nobody's even finished yet and that nobody even wants to play. So I mean, last year when I was trying to power through all of the khakis that were on the server already, the server was not super active, and so, you know, living in the US, when all of the Europeans went to sleep, it was like 8 p.m. for me. So I would usually have the server to myself for a lot of the time between 8 p.m. and midnight, which is the perfect time for me to just sit and hunt some maps. However, I can't remember the last time I had the server to myself. There's been a lot of new North American players and Australian players and some nocturnal French people, and so I don't really have free reign over the server like I used to, meaning there's more hard maps than ever, and I have no way of even working on them anymore, so it made it basically impossible to keep up with the hard maps. Now this is where it gets a little bit controversial. So on LOLMAPS, there's the master admins who basically run the server, and then under them, there's probably like 50 or 60 regular admins. I think we got way too many admins. Now any admin can add or remove any map they want, but lately there's been a lot of internal fighting between the admins, all just kind of fighting over what kind of maps belong on the server. So when I talked about 100%ing the server, I mentioned how, you know, you could find just about any type of map on here as long as it's less than 30 seconds long. So there's full speed maps, tech maps, precision maps, LOL maps, some khaki maps, and everybody seems to have a different idea of what maps belong on the server. Some people hate the fact that we have so many regular type maps. They don't like that there's precision maps or tech maps and think that it should be all LOL maps. However, the true LOL maps are usually the most downvoted maps, and so a lot of people think that all downvoted maps should be deleted. But for me personally, I just think that the extreme khaki maps don't really belong here. You know, I love that this server is just a very wide variety of maps that you can just bounce from one map to the next, and you can get pretty well rounded as a player. However, when it comes to these khaki maps, For one, people just vote to skip them almost every time, making it just about impossible to hunt them. And two, if there's a rule that a map can't be longer than 30 seconds, that's because we have a 4-minute and 20-second timer per map. And we figure that if it takes longer than 30 seconds to finish a map, then 4 minutes is just not enough time to really work on it. However, we've got khaki maps that take easily hours of grinding just to finish at one time. But then somehow these ones are allowed. And so while all of the admins are fighting over what maps should belong and what shouldn't, the master admins are basically like long gone inactive. Like the people that started the server, most of them haven't played the game in years. And so you've got admins fighting with each other, they're trying to ask questions to the master admins who are just out to lunch, none of them respond to anything. And as a result, there have been a lot of admins that have just jumped ship, just sworn off LOLMAPS completely, and they've actually gone and started a second server just called Only Noobs. It's based on their Only Noobs team, but that's basically turned into the second LOLMAPS server now because some people just got so fed up with the maps that are on the LOLMAPS server that they just couldn't take it anymore and wanted to start something else. But personally, I'm still just so invested into this one server that I refuse to move to any others. I actually remember an instance a long time ago where in Discord, somebody jokingly made the comment of, "Hey, we're a khaki server now." And then the server owner was like very sternly saying, "No, we are not." And so while yes, pretty much any map can be added, I have seen times where I go looking for a khaki map and somebody just deleted it. Now technically I can delete maps too, except that if I just become like the arbiter of like, alright, if the map is too hard for me to finish, then it should be deleted. Then it's kind of just a bad look for me. Well, once I gave up on the 100% goal and I had 2 or 3 no ranks piling up, and it didn't seem like there was any effort to regulate how hard maps could be on the server, I basically just said, alright, whatever, if everything is allowed, then let's go ahead and add the hardest stuff we can find. So back like 3 years ago when I was playing on the server casually, I remember coming across a map that I just thought was impossible. I had no idea how it even worked. And then years later, when I was about to 100% the server, I'm like, alright, I should be coming across that map one day. I don't know what it's called, but I mean, if I'm gonna play every map on the server, I've got to beat that one too, right? But it just never came up. And so I was like, wait, what happened to it? I guess somebody deleted it. So I mean, there are admins on the server that will just delete maps if they just seem stupidly hard. And so I decided to look up that map and add it back onto the server. Actually, I think Schmanuel was asking about it because he's like, wait, this map looks like it's really old and it has a lot of old records. How come Cybreed's not on it? But well, there's your answer. But yeah, the way this map works is you just run into a wall, fall straight down, and you're just helpless. I mean, it's a super simple looking map. You can tell that you're supposed to fall and bounce off of this wall somehow, but after driving into this wall about 1,000 times and you still haven't figured it out, it gets a little frustrating. So I can kind of understand why this map got removed back then, and it's just called Averagiest Khaki, which has got to be one of my new favorite words. So yeah, I think this is actually Khakiest Khaki number 76. So here's a replay of how you're supposed to finish it. I still have not gotten it, but there you go. Anyway, so for the first few months after I made the video of me 100%ing the server, like I said, I would just pop in and finish 2 or 3 new maps every night that got added that day, and I kept my status at 100% for quite a while. And that also made it really easy for me to keep up with what new maps were being added every day. And over time, I was kind of sitting at like 5 or 6 khakis on my no rank list, and I would just pick around those, playing the newer maps that were actually playable. However, something else just happened that completely threw all of that off. So there was kind of a few week period where the server was just having so many issues. The server would crash, and then it would just be completely down until one of the master admins got around to restarting the server. Sometimes it was only down for a few hours, sometimes it was down for a day or two. And so for those couple days, it was just, there was no LOLMAPS server. And so a solution they decided to come up with was, so you know how the leaderboard of the local records goes up to top 400, and to get ranked you have to land in the top 400? Well, they decided to cut that in half, and so the local records only goes up to 200, meaning a whole bunch of maps that I was ranked on just got bumped off, and so now I have to go back and try and land in the top 200 on every map now. Now there are about 8,700 maps on the server, and I was pretty confident that I had top 200 already on most of them. I've been working on just improving all of my ranks in general over the past few months, so I wasn't too concerned, and surprisingly, out of the 8,700 maps, I had top 200 on like 7,500 of them already, which was actually kind of a surprise to me. I was impressed that over 80% of my ranked maps, I was in the top 200 already. Now a lot of people were thinking like, oh man, Cybreed's gonna be so mad when he hears hears about this, like he's gonna lose his 100% status. I mean, first of all, I had already lost it by then. But honestly, I'm not even too upset with this. It gives me something else to do again. It's actually really fun to go back to maps that I played like 3 years ago, but was kind of terrible back then. And now I gotta go back and try and improve my time and get into the top 200. I'd say the biggest problem with having this top 200 leaderboard is just that it makes the server a bit too casual, unfriendly. I mean, LOLMAPS is supposed to be like this very accessible, general audience server that people of all skills can come together and play. But now that we've got so many like super hard maps, and then the maps that aren't hard have like a really tight leaderboard that are really hard to get onto, it kind of feels like any new players who want to try jumping onto the server, they're probably not going to have a great time. Now, there are a lot of maps that I've done really well on. A lot of the very skill-based maps, I can really hold my own and get top 200 without too much issue. However, there are a few luck-based maps, especially the ones that have been around for like 10 years and just really maintained a solid leaderboard that are really hard to break into the top 200. But that gives me something to work on these days since I have over 1,000 no ranks again. The problem though is that it's a lot harder for me to keep up with new maps that get added to the server now. But anyways, that is the status of LOLMAPS right now. Originally I was going to make this video about all of the hard maps that made me give up on 100%, but this is already going on so long that I'll just save that for another video. But yeah, the reason I've been inactive lately is kind of a mix of things. I mean, for one, everyone was focusing on Deep Dip 2 for so long, and so I didn't really feel like competing with that. But also, it's just been kind of more difficult to make videos under these new circumstances. And one of my favorite things about Trackmania is just that I love logging in, shutting off my brain, just kind of going on autopilot, and just casually playing while watching a movie or something on my second monitor. But when it comes to making a video, it's the complete opposite of all of that. It takes way more effort, it takes a lot more attention, it takes a lot more thinking about the game. I have to come up with a bunch of maps to talk about, and there's no good way to browse maps, so it all just comes down to maps that I have written down or remembered. And so it can be really hard to keep making videos when I've already talked about most of the maps that are significant enough for me to remember. But I will try to look through my no rank list and find a bunch of hard maps to talk about next time.